Twins.
Hey everybody, it is Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation, and it's Monday night all over again. My name is Donna Gray Banks, and I am your host. Our guest tonight is William Fredrick Cooper. Mr. Cooper has written 4 books: the USA Today Bestselling novel Unbreakable, a love ballad, and the Essence bestseller There's Always a Reason was nominated for African American Literary Awards. This evening, we will be talking about his career in the literary industry and talking about his new novel and what he has in the future. And thank you, William, for being on Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation.
Well, thank you for having me on the Zoom and the Fresh thing, and we're gonna do a little something.
We're gonna rock and
let's
roll
just
tonight.
kick it. Yeah, let's rock and roll. Let's make this happen.
Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation.
So what do you want to know about me? What do you want to know about me?
Wait a minute, let me get to it, yeah. It's sponsored by Islands Diamonds LLC, the Fresh Book Festival, which will be held in the beautiful city of Daytona Beach on 23, 24, 25 February 2023. Say that 5 times and see if you can make it happen. If you have any questions for William, please put them in the chat box, and we will look at those questions at the end of the hour. Good evening, William. And now you can tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, Oprah, my dog died.
Come on, your dog died. You're funny.
Yeah, Lassie died on me.
Yeah, we're not taking no donations for dead dogs.
All right. No. Darn, I needed donations. First I want to just say again, like I want to reiterate, like we were doing off loop, I want to say RIP to one of our civil rights trailblazers, as well as arguably the greatest winner in basketball history, William Felton Russell, who passed away yesterday. Somebody I looked up to growing up, along with Hank Aaron and Jackie Robinson and Kareem and Ali and people like that, who transcended their craft. You know, they wrote books, they made a difference in our community. They had a lot to do with our collective growth as people of color. And I want to say RIP and offer my condolences to the Russell family and anybody intimately connected with him. You know, he meant a lot to all of us. And a lot of the things that are happening in our lives wouldn't be because people like him, would not be possible if it weren't for people like him who endured.
Right. We can't forget Lieutenant Lahore.
Yeah, we can't. Oh, she passed away?
Yes, she did.
Lieutenant Gail, what's her name? From Star Trek.
Yes, she passed away.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah, so we want to send condolences.
Yeah, man. That sucks, man.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
You know, now, and you know what's sad now? What's playing in my head is that Star Trek music. It's not.
She was
I'm not trying to humor it, but it's like
she was
that's
everything.
what's playing in my head. Horror passed away, huh? Wow.
She did.
Yeah,
so now that you talked about Bill Russell, you're going to tell us a little bit about this.
I'm just an ordinary guy. I'm just a guy that Donna, Mama Tony, Patricia, I'm an ordinary guy, born in Brooklyn, raised on Staten Island. At present, I live in Hawaii. You know, I'm a case manager at a homeless shelter as well as a mental health facility. Gotta have it. It's expensive, and I write a little bit. I've written a little bit. That's about it.
I think we lost your connection.
I mean, I don't know how else to describe it. God gave me,
William,
you know, a little bit of a gift, and you know, I just try to make use of it, putting one word in front of another, and I go from there.
So tell us what it felt like to be an award-winning author in Black Expressions magazine feature. And I want you to kind of expound on Black Expressions, because there are people in the audience these days who have no idea what that is.
You know, I don't know if people are aware of it, but Black Expressions was like a book of the month club for people, for us, for kinfolk. Editor-in-chief of it was at one time Carol Mackey, a beautiful, beautiful woman. Carol Mackey was like, she was on point. In 2007, I had released the book, There's Always a Reason, and she thought enough of it to make it a main selection, which means that everybody gets to see it. It helped me a great deal, be it Black Expressions, Bestseller, Essence. She really did me justice with that. And I want to give a shout out to her and just say thank you for always looking out for Black authors, because we needed vehicles like that back then. That we would have it in, Ebony Magazine or Jet. They would have the Black Expressions thing, and they should make your book a main selection, meaning that it's like a must-read book. And for my second book to have been that, it meant the world to me. It was like, wow, I'm doing something Eric Jerome Dickey did, doing something Victoria Christopher Murray did. I'm doing something that people did, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool, and the story was pretty cool too. So.
Black Expressions went away when? Do you remember when that last?
Mm-hmm. That was, I think it stopped, I think in 2010 or 11 or something like that. Maybe even later than that, Like I said, I'm incredibly like daft when it comes to those things. I don't know. I've been gone for a long time.
Well, but you were here for a long time. So we want to talk about the time. Yeah, we want to talk about the time when you were here. And we want to talk about, William, your journey to traditional publishing. Now, you published through Zane. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell us about how, I would love to even meet her. If you're out there, I really want to meet you. Tell us about traditional publishing and how that happened.
Well, back when then, I had wrote my first book and I finished it in 1998. And I tried to get it published. I received 72 rejection letters, 72. And the last one told me that Black men aren't supposed to be writing with this type of emotion. It sounds obsessive, because you're going into a place that's basically tailored. And I hope I don't sound sexist when I say this.
Go ahead.
But when you're talking about feelings and emotions and stuff, society has conditioned a lot of people to believe that Black men don't have them.
Right.
So I encountered a lot of obstacles with that, but I also had a lot of people who did write with feeling, like Timothy McCann, who happens to be a great friend of mine, Marcus Major. I came out with Old School. I came out with the Old School where Black men started to emote in their literature. Fortunately, like I said, I had received 72 rejection letters, and they told me Black men aren't supposed to write with this much emotion. The last one did. So I'm like, okay, if somebody tells me that I can't do something, I'm like, I'm like a New York, I'm like a New York point guard. I like to play ball. And when somebody tells me I suck, I'm like, okay, all right.
Let's go.
You're about to find out. So I self-published 6 Days in January, my first book. I self-published it in 2001. And I was like Gene Kelly knocking on doors and singing in the rain, going, gotta dance. I got this book out here.
Yeah.
And it did pretty good. It did pretty good. I remember telling the journey of how I got published at the University of Maryland at College Park, because I used to facilitate conferences for Lauren Jones. Shout out Lauren Jones. I love you. Still do love you. Thank you always for your support. And I remember telling the story how I slept on office floors because I didn't have a computer at home, and how, I wrote the book. I was going through stuff. A relationship had ended, and I was trying to figure out answers as to why. And, I told the story that day, and then I read an excerpt of the book, and then I went back to hosting the actual conference. I didn't know Zane was in the audience, and Zane was starting out with Addicted at a time. She had self-published it, had blown up. And she was like, William, listen, I want you with my company. I think you're pretty compelling. She read the book and she was like, yo, you need to be down with me. And I rejected her at first. Yeah, don't. Yeah, I didn't know any better. I was like, nah, that's okay. You know what? People have rejected me. I think I'm going to do this myself, She never forgot about me. There was an erotica, a book that came out called Twilight Moods, African-American erotica. And Rochelle Allers did a story in it. Tim McCann did a story in it. Tracy Price Thompson. These are all people I grew up with. These are all people I grew up with in the industry. And they're like classic people. They're like They're like on point. I love them so much. And I did a story in it. Zane wrote the forward to the book. And she liked my story so much that she mentioned it first. It was actually about a guy that falls in love with a stripper.
It's okay.
I'm in love with a stripper.
Yeah, strippers need love too.
So anyway, you know, she liked the story so much. So I remember one day coming back to my law firm in 2003, and she said, "Hey, listen, William." She emailed me actually, and I called her, and she said, "I have this anthology coming out, sistergirls.com, and I'd like you to do a story for it." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that'll give me a computer at home." So I did the story, Legal Days, Lonely Nights, and she made it the lead story of the sistergirls.com anthology. And then, as fate would have it, 2003, I'm back in Maryland hosting that thing like Billy Crystal in the Oscars. I don't want to say Chris Rock because we know what happened there. But
Right.
anyway, I was hosting it, and she said, "You know, my company has distribution with Simon and Schuster." And this is how the universe works for me. Man of tremendous pride. When somebody rejects me doing something, I feel like, okay, screw it. I'm going to do this myself. So basically what happened was I remember revisiting the novel, my first novel, and sending her an email saying, "I'm re-editing it. I'm looking at it all over again. And anything you can do to help me would be greatly appreciated." It took everything out of me to ask for help. Don't you know that woman had already sent my contract in the mail? Because she knew I would say yes.
Wow.
And Zane was an integral part of what I did. And, you know, she did so much for me as one of her original authors. I can't begin to thank her enough for allowing me to do stories for her. I wrote a story in this book called Dear G-Spot for her, where I actually wrote about a guy doing something with her. I
Okay.
wrote a story in Caramel Flavor for her. And plus she published my first 4 books. And I can't begin to thank her enough for what she did with her company. You know, unfortunately, the company is no longer, but she helped me out a lot. No other way I can put it. And I'm eternally grateful for the opportunity she gave me.
Absolutely. So let's talk about how the industry has changed so much. We touched on that briefly earlier. Let's talk about
Well, it seems like a lot of authors have control now. I mean, like I said, I haven't published anything in 8 years. So I'm finding out things now that I want to know now. So I'm just like learning, just like everybody else. Self-publishing has taken over. Everybody's, you know, controlling their own destiny. You know, to the point where you're producing your covers and things of that nature. You don't have the commercial mojo that a big company or traditional publishing would normally carry, or the distribution. So you got to get out there and hustle. You know, it's like back in those 400 days when I was self-published, except it's a little bit more competitive. It's you know, more people are doing it now, taking their own destiny into their own hands, and let's see what happens.
But are we doing ourselves a disservice without not going and pushing the bigger publishing companies to be?
Well, yes and no.
Right?
You know, it's good to be your own because you're wearing many hats when you're self-published. You're your own publisher, your own marketer. You know, your own. You know, your own. This is your business.
Yeah.
But yet, at the same time, my concern with that is the actual industry itself. Now we have everybody publishing books. You know, everybody's not supposed to be publishing books. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. You know, there are a lot of people who are publishing that should not be publishing books because some of it is bastardizing our culture in terms of its intelligence.
In the industry.
In the industry. And now it seems like the reader has to sift through a lot of, they have to kiss a lot of frogs to get to a prince in terms of literature.
I agree with that because you have these publishing companies now who will remain nameless, who will publish anything for you.
BS. BS. Let's call it what it is. There's a lot of BS
and
coming out, and it's like at some point, we got people reading now, but we also want to enhance the intelligence of the craft. And I think sometimes because we're self-published or we're so in a hurry to get stuff out there that we're forgetting that this is a craft, man. Ellison, Baldwin, Wright, Dickey, God rest his soul.
right.
I mean, this was a craft, man. I just came from a retreat and I felt like the dumbest guy in that room.
Oh yeah,
Because there are
I
people
didn't ask
getting
that question.
MFAs in creative writing. And I want to give a shout out to them in there because they really, made me realize, listen, when I get it back out there, I got to step my game up. And
Mr.
I
Cooper, let's
really
talk
appreciate
about that retreat because we've been talking about doing something like that for a while. So tell me about the essence of it and how it
Oh my
all
God.
evolved.
Shout out to Donna Hill, who happens to be one of my mentors too. One of my people who have looked out for me for years too. I told her I wanted to get back. I want to write another book, first time in 8 years. And this retreat possibly came up. I had to submit an essay as well as the reason why I wanted to be there. And I got accepted. Hundreds of people applied, only 8 got accepted for writers, 8 got accepted for poetry. And we went through intense workshops where we had to critique our own work. And I swear to you, ladies, and I was telling somebody this the other day, you can only rely on the gift that God gave you, but for so long. You have to sort of now buckle down and learn techniques. And it was like me, I felt so rusty being there. I literally felt like the dumbest guy in that room. And the authors, God bless them, and these are some talented authors. Dr. Samuel Altman, Stephanie from the Caribbean, Lizra, Amber. Oh God, there's this other guy. Oh my God, I can't. Gregory Chambers. Look out for him. This brother can write. These were some talented writers. Oh God, was it Cornelia? These were some excellent writers, and our future is in good hands. If it came down to those people in that room, dynamite. And like I said, it was intimidating too, because even though I'm published, doesn't mean I know everything. And these guys, they had their MFAs in creative writing, and you can tell that they were exceptional, and you could feel their passion. And it rekindled my passion as well for writing. I knew that I had done the right thing by being there. It was really, really a wonderful, wonderful experience. Again, my homegirl, Nathasia Brooks Harris, my big sister was there. It was awesome. It was awesome. And I would highly recommend writers, if you're really serious about growing in the craft, to try to submit your work to a retreat. Hopefully you get accepted and let people critique your work. It's important. It's important because they're not doing it in this group. You know how some people, how some of authors have a lot of ego and they're like trying to bash people's work. No, these people were really trying to help us. All of us, we were trying to help each other grow collectively. And it was a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Is it a content workshop, or is it where you put your comma, where you
There
put
were
your
content workshops. We discussed everything: content, setting, dialogue, themes. We expressed our Achilles heels. We helped each other develop our stories. It was really, really beautiful experience. The Wild Seas Writers Retreat, upstate New York. They do it. I think they do it every other year, but they pick 8 poetry writers and they pick 8 fiction writers. And I was blessed to be one of the ones that were picked. Again, thank you, Donna Hill, for including me in that. And she was hard as hell on me. And I appreciate that because
was it like in a hotel or was it really?
Oh no, it was at a retreat. It was at a conference site in Warwick, New York, where we had isolated dorms, and we had our workshops. They fed us. We ate. We chilled out. We talked a little bit about the craft. Some people were passionate than others, and we basically retired to our rooms and performed exercises that they had given us as well as worked on our projects. So it was pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff.
Did you have a topic?
Well, each person talked about what they were working on.
Okay.
Yeah, each person talked about what they were.
That's
It was
wonderful.
fun. It was a
yeah.
lot of fun.
We're
A
really
lot
going to
of
try to do that. Maybe 2024. I don't see it in the future for 2023, but I think it's a good thing for writers.
Oh,
Um,
definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
You
to
know,
be a
and I
part of.
just only hope and pray that, you know, Quincy Jones and Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie had that We Are the World thing. And one of the things they asked for all the entertainers to do was to check the Eagles at the door. You know, and I only hope and pray that the writers, um, if in fact writers are serious about the craft, they will check their egos at the door and they will learn something from it. Because, like I said, they were looking at me because I was published, and I was telling them, "Yo, listen, look, everybody published can't write." And couple that with the fact that I felt like the dumbest guy in that room, I was like, "Ooh, ooh," and it was
Well,
like, you know, I mean, I would like to think that I'm halfway decent, but these writers were bad. These writers were serious. And I'm like, the future of African American literature,
mm,
as well as Caribbean literature, was in that room too. And it was sparkling, dazzling, is in good hands, is in really good hands.
okay,
It's in
four
really good
books
hands.
down, many anthologies. Tell me which one of the books was the hardest and which was the easiest.
Well, the hardest one is the one I'm about to write,
Okay.
and we'll get into that later. Um, but the easiest one, I don't know if there were any easiest ones. You know, I'll tell you a little bit about me. Uh, Whenever I write a book, it seems like everything around me falls apart.
Mm,
And I don't really enjoy the process. It makes me focus, but it's like everything falls apart. If I told you, I'll put it to you this way. My first book I wrote, I didn't have a computer at home, right? Wrote it on my office floor working at work and stuff. My second book, I was going through some stuff at this job that I was at. And by the time the book made it to the Essence bestsellers list, I was just an emotional wreck. My third book I finished after an engagement broke off in a pretty interesting place. My last book I wrote, Unbreakable, I was going through some stuff because I was the caretaker of my grandmother at the time. And, you know, you deal with your family stuff. It seems like every time I write a book, there's always a damn problem. And I'm like, you kidding me? But yet I find some way to get it done.
yeah.
I find some way to get it done and it helps me focus. So I'm
Well,
blessed. So
I'm going to get to the question about Unbreakable, but I did finish it. And listen, it was fabulous. So I don't know if you did it from the floor or in the closet, but
girl,
it
if I
is,
told you this real story behind
it's
that
an
book, we might have to have a private chat for
amazing,
that.
it's an amazing book.
God
So,
bless you. Thank you so much. You
yeah,
know,
it's
so
amazing.
much went into that book. That one, because I wanted to pay tribute to the musical legacy of Michael Jackson,
Mm-hmm.
my idol. And I wanted to tell a story, like a literary musical. As you can see, the beginning of the book talks about some of the things I was going through
Right,
and that unshakable faith thing. And I
right,
rewrote the song Unbreakable. And it's like I was like banging while I was writing it, you know, or banging, feeling that out of body experience. You know, even Biggie's rap, "Mouse to a Giant, my Lord's not buying the silly games that
right.
you play."
Mouse
I
to a
mean,
giant.
I was trying to kill that. But you know, because Unbreakable is a jam. That's a bad
It
jam.
is. It really
That song
is.
punches you in the head.
It
Like
does.
that TikTok girl, she's on to something. When she did it at the beginning of the year, I
Yeah.
was like, when I heard that, I was like, yeah, finally people are catching on. But yeah, Unbreakable was fun. That was fun to write because I got the chance to pay tribute to Michael Jackson. And I did it within the confines of a love story.
So we're going to
And,
fast forward to that question. So the
yeah.
novel, first of all, is an emotional roller coaster experience, right? So, I mean, from the first 5 pages
Mm.
until I would say, I mean, it just is. And and I don't know where you get that kind of emotion from, particularly some of the scenes. And I don't want to give those away, but
Well,
they're
I'll rap to you.
they're very raw, right? So I'd
Yeah.
like you to kind of unpack that. How do you get
Well, that beginning,
where does
Unshakable Faith, I
yeah,
wanted to write something, you know, and I was telling somebody earlier today, I was telling somebody that that song, Unshakable Faith, the Unbreakable song that I rewrote over, was an FU song at first.
Ah,
But I asked God to
we're
do
glad you
something with that.
revisited that.
Yeah, I asked God to do something with
Right,
that,
right, right, right.
because
Yeah.
that's not in my heart to hold on to agony or anguish or play victim, you know. And you think about unshakable faith making you unbreakable, unshakable faith in God making you unbreakable. But you got to have unshakable faith. You can try to injure me. Motivation it will be no matter what you say, God's still going to love me. Through all the nonsense and the names, my faith will always stay the same. It's unshakable. And then I went into the story. And I wanted to bring the William McCall character back from my first two books. And I wanted to bring him back 7 years later after he experienced loss. And you revisit some things. Also wanted to tell a story about a woman who, why she might be closed up to men.
Right.
And I wanted to do it in the most, I wanted to do it in a traumatic way. That scene in chapter 2
Yeah.
that you read
Yeah.
was a mother to write, because I had
It
never
was a mother
written
to
anything.
read.
Yeah, well, abuse takes on many forms. I'm going to talk
Yeah.
about abuse in
Right.
my, my comeback book too. But abuse takes on many forms, and what that woman experienced, the woman Keisha's mother, what she experienced, I wouldn't wish on anybody. And the way it ended was horrific.
Right. Right.
And
But let me
that
just
can
say,
close somebody's
Mr.
heart.
Cooper, as a,
Yes, ma'am.
and I don't mean to be sexist, right? But as a gentleman, I thought that you brought great compassion, being from a perspective from a female side, right?
Thank you.
Is that because you have sisters, or, I mean, no, it's
Well,
just
I'm an
like,
emotionally sensitive guy, so it's
okay.
like, I think, and my last book before that, I wrote about hysterectomies in the female reproduction system. And, when you write about things like that as a man, yeah, see, she's sitting back, Tam is sitting back like, oh, really? Like, she like, yeah, I got to see this. What you know about that stuff?
That's good.
Yeah, I see the look. I recognize the look after all of these years. But yeah, my second book I wrote about hysterectomies, female reproductive system. Had to do research on endometriosis as well as vaginal lubrication after the procedure. Sometimes women lose that. I want to go there. I want you to know that there are men that know about these things. Female anatomy is amazing, and the female psyche is amazing. And because I was raised by a single mom.
Yes.
I was raised by a single mom. We'll revisit that later.
Right.
You see a lot of the stuff that women go through up close. And I want women to know that, yeah, there are men who are cognizant of that. But yet at the same time, we got feelings too. And instead of us venting and complaining and bitching and moaning about all of this, let's sit down and have a conversation and figure out solutions that can work for us.
Right.
And some of these stories that I tried to publish always talked about people who don't have things really together or going through things, but love comes into their lives. I mean, and that was a situation where one person is still wounded from something, another person goes through something traumatic, and they find each other. And that's another thing, people think that love is supposed to be when everything is together. Everybody got everything together. He's supposed to have this. She's supposed to have that. Everything's that love don't work that way.
You have to unpack some stuff.
Yeah, you have to unpack some stuff. And sometimes you gotta, I'm not saying you have to meet people where they're at, because you tell her, I'm gonna be real with you, you tell a woman that this day and age, especially with all the disappointments they've experienced in terms of issues, they don't want to hear that crap.
Right.
But you better listen, because we both, look, I'm not the guy that hurt you, okay?
Yeah.
And you're not the woman that hurt me. Let's figure this damn thing out so that we can stop all this social media shade and these shade things disguised as empowerment and
innuendos.
No, let's figure this thing out.
Yeah, let's unpack
and hopefully within the confines of the novels that I write, if God willing, I continue to write them, maybe I could help with certain things I say. Maybe it might make somebody think. And if I've done that, then you've experienced the story as opposed to reading it.
Let's talk about there's always a reason when we have our girls conversation, right? And we talk about, you know, there are married women in the group also. But when we talk about the women who are divorced and you say, well, you know, give me, you know, what was the reason? There's never one reason.
That book was short, my shortest book.
Yeah.
But it was my most emotional book.
Right. Okay. Tell us about
because I wanted to clear away all of the minutia, defense mechanisms, and show that sometimes everybody needs help. And it was a covenant exchange. That book was a tear-jerking covenant exchange. And it let you know, excuse me for saying it like this, and God forgive me, but it cuts through all the bullshit. All right. We need each other. Stop acting like you don't need me. And I need to stop acting like I don't know what you want. And sometimes it happens when people are going through things. That story was like a covenant exchange. Guy was going through a hell of a lot. He meets a woman and finds out this woman took the courage to explore the man's heart and help them. Come to find out she needed help with something far worse. And it's funny now because I just, with a little help from a friend of mine, y'all better recognize Brian Smith. Brian Smith is a bad boy.
Brian W. Smith?
Brian W. Smith is a bad boy.
He is the man.
All I'm gonna say.
We love him.
I hope he listens to this because he's a bad boy.
Yeah.
And he gave me the opportunity to work on the screenplay for that. So this is a love story that's sorely needed in our community. And I'm just praying that it goes the limit, because if it goes the limit, it's going to touch people's hearts, you know, because we need each other and we need to cut through all the bullshit and stop acting like we don't. Let's just stop, because it's not solving anything.
Right.
You know, and sometimes we got to take chances. You know, sometimes that guy might not have everything you want, but he might have 80% of what you want. Sometimes that woman might not have everything you want. She might not be everything you want, but with the love that you pour on her, she'll learn how to be certain things that you need. You know, we have these lists and these wants, and some of them are fundamental, like security and things like that. But other things, it's almost like the shallowness in humanity reveals itself. And it sucks because it keeps people on defense mechanisms. Couple that with the fact that PAIN, the acronym for PAIN, is positive alterations internally needed. When you read a lot of the stuff in the social media world, you see a lot of people in pain. And, and when you're in pain like that, you can't love. And that's the love story I tried to tell in that book. I wanted to tell a love story that shows that we need each other. And we can't forget that. I need you as a Black woman. You need me as a Black man. And don't act like you don't, because you do. You know, you do. You do.
Yeah, you do.
You need out, and we've gotten away from that because we're scared of getting hurt. Both genders are scared of getting hurt. Women are sitting with their arms like this, and making us prove themselves to them. And we shouldn't have to do that. If somebody else hurt you, or 2 or 3 people hurt you, you're the common denominator. You might have to go in the workshop and do a little work on yourself.
You need to unpack.
And men are adopting this Kevin Samuels crap.
Yeah.
They're adopting this Kevin Samuels crap because they bit a box, you know, from their formative years.
God rest
you
his
know,
soul.
and it's just making even more of a mess of things.
Yeah.
You know?
And the truth of the matter is, once we found out that Mr. Samuels had a lot to unpack that he never unpacked either, right?
Man,
you found out.
And I'm not trying to hate on my boy.
No, because he's passed,
like,
and God rest his soul. But you know,
yeah, there was some redeeming stuff. He spoke some truth now. I'm not going to tell you he didn't speak no truth.
Right.
But sometimes it's in the delivery.
Right.
You know.
Right.
It's in the delivery. You don't say things he said and expect women to just like, yeah, you're right. Oh, hell no. He made a lot of enemies. But sometimes when you just like when Terry McMillan first came out with Waiting to Exhale. You don't
Right.
think men were pissed off seeing a guy that can't screw in bed, seeing another guy that was acting all crazy, a drunk, you know, or some guy that was in a married relationship that was trying to love somebody else. You didn't think men we didn't like seeing that.
No, of course not.
We
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
But it was a truth that needed to be told, and it helped you really think about one, the choices that you made, and two, the people that you do them with. And that's what Kevin Samuels in his own way tried to do, but I don't think he really actually figured it out.
Right. He was trying.
Because he wouldn't have agitated a lot of people if he did.
Yeah. So I apologize. Those are only two books that I read. Unbreakable.
You
and
read
there's
There's
only
Always a Reason?
I did.
Wow.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You,
But the other
you
two
didn't,
I
you
did
didn't
not.
cry at the end of it, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. It's a tough one.
Yeah, that's
It's a tearjerker.
Let's talk about the other two because I don't have any reference.
Well, if you ever want to know about some of the things that I went through in my formative years, let's say from like 18 to like 30, 31, 32, you'll read 6 Days in January. It's semi-autobiographical.
6 days of
6 Days in January. It's the
in
prequel to
January.
There's Always a Reason.
Okay.
That was semi-autobiographical, and there are times where, as a woman, you're gonna read things and you're gonna want to punch this dude in the face. You're gonna be like, you know, but we want to do that when it comes to love. You learn a lot through love, and you know, I talk about the guy that's been stood up on dates. I talk about the guy that's been called weak because of his sensitivity. I talk about the guy that some women think is gay. And I talk about his insecurities from these things and how he made a choice that I don't think if he would have been dealing had he been in a healthy, secure frame of mind, he would have made, because it basically crumbled and it destroyed future relationships.
Mm.
And when I remember when I would meet with book clubs, the reviews on that book were polarizing. Women either loved it or hated it because it disrupted your belief system. For the first time, you're seeing a guy go through some of the stuff you're going through. And they're like, I literally had some women say, well, women go through it too. And I'm like, yeah, but we read your stories, okay? I'm trying to tell you another story. We know about this. If you don't know about this as a man, you die. You're like, I don't know. You like dropped off on a different planet. But
Mama Tony said she was cussing it while she was reading.
I know she was. I knew she was cursing at William. Let it all out, girl. You're cursing at me. You were really cursing at me because that book is about 65% true.
Oh my.
So yeah. Some of that stuff is true. And like I said, you learn a lot, man. When you're dealing with insecurities and you don't know yourself, you can stumble a lot. And you got to be careful, because in those formative years, if you don't learn some things and you don't apply wisdom, it can chart you on a course for the rest of your life, which can be destructive and self-inflicted. And it could be self-inflicted destruction. And this guy had to, in 6 days, he had to unpack a lot of stuff. My other book, and this is how God works with me. After There's Always a Reason came out, it made the bestsellers list, Essence bestsellers list. But unfortunately, I got laid off of a job because of that book. $70,000 a year job as a law clerk. I got laid off of a job because of that book. Couldn't find a job for like 9 months in my field. I was overqualified for a lot of stuff. And I got blessed the sextons had went out at my church, First Corinthian Baptist Church at the time in Harlem. And they had went out at church and they needed somebody to be a sexton. So for 3 months, 6 days out of the week, 13 hours a day, I was a sexton at a church. Still couldn't find a job in my legal profession. So I was like, you know what? I need to do something. The Yankees and the Mets were opening up stadiums. I'm a big Yankee fan. I applied at the Mets Stadium, Citi Field. I ended up the bathroom attendant at the most expensive part of Yankee Stadium. Guy that hired me, his name was Angel. And the Yankees won the championship that first year at the new stadium. They loved me. The Yankee organization loved me so much that they brought me back 2 years later, did a book signing at Yankee Stadium, was a manager of a sports memorabilia store after I wrote the book, paid tribute to Steinbrenner in the book. So that's how God has worked with me. Whenever something doesn't look clear to me, or he's always figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah, you just have to wait on it. Yeah, you just have to wait on it.
You just have to wait.
You have to wait on it.
He's really blessed me. I mean, that was something. The way it happened, and I told the way it happened, I correlated with the season on the field, paid tribute to Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera. The Yankees won the championship that year. I had to write that book. And it was just incredible. It was an experience I know that, and it starts out at a church. God blessed me for taking care of his place of dwelling. And I realized that. And it was a blessing, that unexpected blessing during some grinding time. You know, unfortunately, the woman I was with that was a central part of the book as well, we no longer. But, you know, it was, God has his way of doing things.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
He has his way of doing things.
And so at the end of Unbreakable, there's several pieces of poetry, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to do that all around the world. You know, I tried to get people, my boy Kwame McPherson, he was down with it. Alvin Horn, that's another dude, man. That dude right there is another dude too. My ex-fiance was part of it. Alyssa Gabrielle. I had some pretty interesting.
Yes, some heavy hitters.
Yeah, God has blessed me. He's always surrounded me with, Donna, he's always surrounded me with some really great people, some beautiful, beautiful people. And a lot of them have been friends of mine for years, like Tracy Price Thompson and Timothy McCann. And, you know, they're rooting for me to come back, and it means a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want you back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it means a lot to me. These are my friends, and they're, you know, Donna did what she did, helping me get into that retreat, because, you know, they know what's up, and they're like, listen, you know, hopefully your latter will be your greater, and let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
You're a gifted writer. I mean, that's not even.
There's plenty of dynamite writers coming. And like I said, I witnessed some at this retreat, and I'm like, my God, I can't wait to say that I was in the room with some of these people. They are dynamite. And I'm like, they all will be successful. And Donna Hill's new book, this book that's coming out in January.
Okay.
She read the first chapter of this book, and it's a MF, period. I don't mean to use that word in terms of, it sounds like it's going to be literary brilliance. And I mean, from what I heard, I was like, ooh. It's the one with the pink cover. I think I am Aisha or something like that. Comes out in January or February.
Okay.
And when you read this book, this is going to be a straight killer. And I'm so happy for her, because I feel like that's a woman that doesn't get her complete due in the literary culture. You know, you hear about the glamorous names, but she has put out 100 books. She rolls along, she does her thing, and she helps other people, man. But this book is, like I told her, I said, it sounds like this is your what is it? This is one. This is her one.
This is the one that she jumps.
It's gonna be a bad. This one you could tell she put a soul into it. Yeah. She put a foot into it. This is her Bernice McFadden's not Glorious, the one after that. It's along those lines. This one's gonna be powerful. And I'm so proud of her. So
I'm looking forward to it. And Mama Tony just said,
put that on a must-read list.
Yeah, remember that Timothy came back too.
Oh man, he shared that with me.
Yeah.
Divorcing Atlanta, he shared that with me, and we laughed about it. And I'm so happy for Tim, man.
Yeah.
You don't even understand how much that brother means to me. The other night we were talking about New York City point guards, and Timothy, he's powerful. That's another one, man. 2001, we're on this book summit cruise together, and he hears me read something from my first book, So he comes to me, and I knew that he put out all those Essence bestsellers, always the one word
Right.
title. And he says to me, listen, I want to sit down with you for a minute. I want you to tell me about your muse. And for the next 6 days, he was in my ear about his passion. A few weeks ago, when I finally decided I was going to do this again, a couple months ago, excuse me, we were on the phone for 3 hours. And we were talking about my journey and how interesting it's been. And he said, sometimes readers don't know what an author goes through just to make you smile.
That's right.
And that was very profound to him.
Yeah.
I love that man. He is, like I said, I've been blessed to be surrounded by greatness. I've been blessed.
Yeah,
Tracy Price Thompson, Margaret Johnson Hodge, Bernice. These are my buddies, man. They're really cool people. Curtis Bunn,
he was on last week.
I know. I was featured at National Book Club Conference.
Yeah.
That was my last literary appearance in 2014.
Yeah.
I was featured down there, and he's a beautiful man too.
Pleasure to meet him.
Just when you talk to him again, tell him the Commanders suck. I'm a Cowboy fan.
I'm not gonna get in that argument.
I will. We used to talk smack about that a lot. He used to get on me, but Curtis Bunn is a beautiful man, and what he's doing for us as authors, giving us the opportunity, is so invaluable.
I won't be there this year, but I will not miss it next year for sure.
Oh man, this year they're doing a tribute to Eric Jerome Dickey. I wish I was there for that.
Yeah, I wish I was there.
Do.
Mama Tony's on her way, I'm sure. Yeah.
Listen, tell Curtis I said what's up, Mama. Tell her I said what's up. Tell Donna will be down there. Tell her, give her a hug for me, and tell her you can't wait to read a book. Yeah. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. It's like an all-star game.
Oh, I know, right? I can't wait.
You got the All-Stars down there. And I was part of the All-Star team for a little bit. So I was like,
awestruck, I'm sure, when I get there.
A lot of fun. Really a lot of fun.
You'll be back and part of the double
if it's in God's will.
Exactly.
It's done already.
I want you to just give me a little sense. I don't want you to give away the book, but give us a little sense about what this new book is going to be about, if you could.
Ooh, man. I'm basically in the cave right now writing it. I shut off everybody from the world because I need to really focus on this. And people are pissed off at me about this, but I need to focus on this one because I'll just put it to you this way. The story's about, it's going to be called All in Love is Fair, after a Stevie Wonder song.
I love
my mother's favorite song.
Yeah.
And it deals with abandonment, alcoholism, divorce, infidelity. And it just shows the many ways of abandonment in relationships. Like I said, without going into detail, it shows that there's more. Infidelity is only one way of abandonment. There are other ways that relationships can be abandoned. It's based on a true story.
You can abandon somebody physically, mentally, emotionally.
Oh, when you read about this, it's gonna make a reader think about the many forms of abandonment. It's gonna make a reader think. You hear about the infidelity, but there's more than one way to abandon somebody. And sometimes when a person asks you to stop doing it, they're begging and pleading with you, you're leaving them no choice but to take care of themselves. But that's not even the right way. And it's going to make you see that. If you're going to understand why things happen, you're going to have to pick sides in terms of sympathizing. And you're going to have to understand why things, basically it's not as cut and dry as you think it is. And I'll just put to you the emotion behind it.
You have a drop date?
No, I'm going to take my time with this one. Like I said, this week, because I got to go back to work next week, I shut myself off from everybody other than this interview to work hard on this, especially in light of the momentum from the retreat. I need to just focus on this. And people right now, as we speak, are pissed off at me because I'm not communicating with them.
Yeah, you
But
got to
this
shut
one,
it
I
down
really got to vote.
sometimes. Yeah.
And here's why. On February 3rd, 2020, I was talking to my mother on the phone. It was right around Kobe Bryant, right around when he died. And I told her life was fleeting. And she asked me, she never had come to any of my book signings. She had asked me, why am I not writing now? And I told her, I said, yeah, it's too political. I'm out here in Hawaii. I got these jobs and stuff. She said, you have a gift. And then I started talking about the political jealousies in the industry. And I got fed up with all that stuff. So I walked away from it. And she said, you have more stories in you.
Mm.
Write another one and see what happens. On February 20th, they found her body.
Mm.
She had been dead up to 13 days before anyone found her. So the last conversation I had with my mother, she asked me to write again.
There you go.
So I eulogized her at the funeral. I wrote a piece for my mother, very emotional piece. Get choked up at the end because that's your mom's, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My father's the first one that greets me at the stage, comforts me, hugs me. And he says, boy, you need to write again. And I told him, explain to him why I wasn't writing. And he said, write another damn book and see what happens. The last time I saw my father alive.
Mm.
So
you have no
already know.
choice but to write the book.
Yeah, I got a promise to keep. And
You got a promise to keep. Absolutely.
It's the toughest
Mm-hmm.
thing that I have to do in my life. And I know it because the pressure for me, and maybe I'm inside my own head when I say this, but the pressure for me to do this one is intense because it's for them. It's not for me. It's for them. And I want to come with my best for them. It's like you could dress up on church on Sunday and you're in Sunday best.
Yeah.
This one's for them. Plus, the book opens with a two-part tribute to possibly the greatest writer of our time, Eric Jerome Dickey. I opened the book up with a two-part because that's another reason why I'm writing again. This guy was a master. And
so giving.
It has been a blow to the literary industry since he's been gone. I feel obligated, and I don't know if other writers feel this way. You can't replace something like that.
No.
That's once in a lifetime. But you can, in your own way, soften the blow.
And honor it by doing good work. By doing
excellent work. Yeah. Because this guy was a master, man. Yeah. I read his books now. I brought his books with me to the retreat. I'm studying, looking at little nuances, hoping I can pick up something. I do that. Him, Timothy, those are my Colin Channer. Those are my guys, man. Those are killer writers. And I don't know if I ever be that good. But I ask God just this once for the memory of him and the memory of my parents. Touch my pen. And if this is the last thing I do, and I never write again, then fine. I'm good with that. But I just hope that God is listening, and I hope that he touches my pen, and I'm hoping that he helps me nail this story. Because, from what I shared at the retreat, I know I have a lot of work to do. Yeah. And
it's already done in the spirit. It's already done in the spirit. All you got to do is put it together.
It helps with the grieving process because I haven't grieved my parents yet.
Yeah.
And
it helps.
I think when I'm done with this, it'll help a little bit. It'll help me finally say thank you for the gifts that you gave me, and hopefully hopefully your son did you proud.
Right.
I mean, I just hope for the best, and I'm just giving it to him and seeing what happens. But I know I have a lot of work to do, and I want to nail this story because alcoholism is a really tough thing to deal with, and women can be abandoned by alcoholism. Men can have affairs with bottles, and you don't even realize it till you decide you want to step out on somebody, yet at the same time you still love that person because you're fighting.
Yeah.
Instead of leaving that person altogether, sometimes a woman is still fighting, even though she's out there doing her thing. She still loves that man enough to keep giving him chance after chance. And and how a situation like that can leave a woman torn. And that's what I'm gonna do this book on. And it's
any kind of addiction is selfish. Doesn't matter what the addiction
but
is.
people don't realize that because they're sick.
Right.
And that's what I'm getting into. They don't realize it until they're sick.
Right.
They don't realize it. You can do interventions, you can do counseling. If they don't recognize the problem, then it's not a problem to them.
Right.
But they don't realize the destruction they do in other people's lives.
Carnage just left behind.
Yeah, they don't realize it until sometimes it's too late. And the way I tell this story, I'm hoping that if I execute the story correctly, because that's up to God, it'll deliver the message.
Well, on the lighter side, Mr. Cooper, what's it like living in Hawaii?
Expensive.
It's beautiful though.
Get your hand out my pocket. Expensive. I have 2 jobs. That's why I had to shut myself off this week from everybody. And there are people pissed at me. Erica Fleming, I am sorry that you're pissed at me, but I got to do what I got to do. All right. I got to handle this. I will talk to you after this week when I go back to work because I got to handle this.
But regardless of it being very expensive,
I'm a case manager at a homeless shelter as well as
beautiful though, isn't it?
Out there. It's gorgeous. I love it. I love it. And you know what? When you know the real history of Hawaii, you learn that people we have a lot in common.
You have a lot in common.
People of color and Hawaiians, the locals, have a lot in common. Let's just say they had the same problem.
I still have the same problem.
Still, and the tension is still thick out there. I'm not gonna get into the details because we might have people from Hawaii that might check in on this and they'd be like, "Brother, what you talking about Kauai for? It's a peaceful island, brother. We give you licking when you come home." But it is absolutely gorgeous. The people there are incredibly beautiful people. It's a melting pot. And the fact that I work in 2 positions there where it's helping put people into housing and helping them go on with their lives, it's so much
rewarding.
Fun. It's rewarding. It's a lot of fun. But I'm glad God has me out there right now. And I'm blessed that he has me out there, and it's a blessing. But I know that, things may change in my life where I might not be out there as long as I'd like to be. But, it's for the best. Whatever journey God has me on, I'm cool with it.
So we, at this point, will ask you if you have anything else you want to share. And then we will ask you, please, for a pearl of wisdom.
Okay. Anything I want to share in terms of writing?
Whatever you. Whatever your heart desires. And if your heart doesn't desire, then we just take a pearl of wisdom.
Okay. I will share something. And you'll understand where this comes from.
Okay.
I'm going to just say 2 verses from it.
Okay.
Been called so many things, can't even blink. You tried to bury me with everything. Now God has strengthened me from my toes to my crown, and with things I've endured, I'll stand my ground. Kindness for weakness you mistake, crazy comments you'll create. All the love in my heart you'll get from me. In valleys I've learned it's God's wisdom I do yearn. When he fights my battles, see who's too much for you. Titles and labels, try humility. Mistakes were in the past. God's worked on you. But critics still must learn that when in the good Lord's game, you bring up people's flaws, you'll stay in pain. Judgments, insults, you'll always make. condescending shots you'll take.
Mm.
All the love in my heart you'll get from me. In valleys I've learned it's his wisdom I keep. When he fights my battles, he's too much for you. It's part of unshakable faith.
Well, everybody, you can't ask for anything more than this. Than that.
You
This
know,
has been
pearl of
an
wisdom.
amazing conversation.
Pearl of wisdom that I would share with somebody.
Yes.
And this is from my journey.
Mm.
You never give up
Mm.
on anything. If you have a dream, you have an endeavor or something, a passion or something that you really believe in. Sometimes you're the only one out there that may believe in it. But you never give up. You never stop dreaming. You never stop trying because you never know what blessings have. All you have to do if you put one foot in front of the other. You know, oftentimes we as human beings, we get discouraged by others because other people can't do what we do. But you never let others discourage you from your dreams, and you never give up on yourself. You know, the whole world can give up on you in terms of your dreams. They can pour cemetery dirt on you while you're still alive. They can write your final epitaphs. But God has the final say in everything. He does, not human beings. He does.
He does.
He does. He does. He has the final say. And my literary journey has been a testimony of such. Every single door that I've gone through that's rejected me, he has found a way for me to get things done. When I've made mistakes or I've had to deal with really uncompromising situations, when I've fallen, he's picked me up, he's dusted me off, and he says, try again. And now as I embark on probably the toughest and the most emotional journey in writing that I've ever experienced, I mean, tell you something. And when your mother and father in their dying words ask you to do something, it's a mother, man. It really can mess with you mentally because you're not doing it for anything else but them. And it's tough because you
I believe they
present
call
your
it your
best
charge
foot
to keep. That is your
forward.
charge.
It's a promise that you have to keep. And it seems like whenever I write a book, things go haywire in my life. So I'm like, sure enough, on the way to the retreat, plane had to turn around, go back to Hawaii because there was fumes choking people and stuff. And I'm like, here we go again. But you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't have it any way because it keeps you humble. It keeps you humble. You know, as a writer, it keeps you humble. And as a human being, it makes you appreciative of the gift that God gave you. And you cherish it. And you try to just build on it. And hopefully, like I said, I know some pretty interesting people in the literary industry as I rattled off names. Pretty cool people. And I just hope their greatness rubs off on me.
Listen, we're ready for the comeback. We are ready for it. We're just sitting here with bated breath. We know that you have it in you. I am a newbie compared to the people that you've talked about, compared to yourself.
Yeah, well,
and we all look up to
Donna,
you. We look up to you to give us the light. And you know, your light can't shine unless you're writing. We need you to be writing. So that's it. We need you to be writing. So anyway,
I'm only hoping that I first and foremost do God proud with my gift.
Absolutely.
And second of all, and like I said, I just got to do this for my parents. And you know, like I said, if I never write again after this, I'm cool. But I think that there's more in store. But I'll let God determine that. All I can do is just trust him at this particular point with this one because, like I said, it's for them.
It's for them.
And it's for them. And I just only hope I do them proud.
I'm sure you will. And we're here for
Certainly
it.
hope so. I just only
We're
hope and
all
pray to
here for
God.
it. Just let us know when it's ready to be bought and
Oh,
read.
I got a big mouth, so I'll be like, it's out now, guys. Hello, forgot about me. I'll do something crazy like that.
Mr.
Or
William.
LL, don't call it a comeback.
Yeah.
Maybe Jay-Z allowed me to reintroduce myself. My name is
That's
Will,
right.
the
Yeah.
thrill, off
However
the
you get
chill
it
pill.
done.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Something. I'll think of something.
Everybody, this has
Guys,
been Mr. William Fredrick Cooper, and it has been my honor to have interviewed you today. This
Donna, this
gentleman
has been an honor. God
is
bless you.
born on
Thank
my
you.
birthday, so we are twin
Ah,
flames, Gemini twin
we share
flames.
birthdays.
Yeah.
Gemini's in the house.
And
Brilliant people when they're focused, but destroy the world when they're not.
it was a universal connection that we got together anyway.
Yeah. Tam, I enjoyed you. Thank you so much, girl.
Right. Okay,
Mama
Tam.
Tony, we've been at this for a minute. I got something for you, baby. I'm coming.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
It's been a minute. And thank you so much for your support over the years. I didn't know. And it means a lot to me. God bless you. Tam, again, thank you. Janice, Patricia, thank you guys so much for coming in. Yo, listen, just share the interview with people.
Oh, don't worry. It goes up on YouTube in 20 minutes. Everybody will see it.
Oh, damn.
I thought I told you that.
They're going to be, oh, God. Now I got this Jack Nicholson moment now. It's
it's okay. Listen, in 20 minutes,
I eat breakfast 300 yards away from 4,000 Cubans trained to kill me. So don't think for 1 second you could come back here, write another book, and make me nervous.
Listen, it'll be www bound in about 20 minutes. So
hey, listen, from the bottom of my heart, listen, thank you for what you do for the literary community, because like I said, we need outlets like this, especially authors on the come up. And if there's anybody I can recommend to you, I'm going to rattle off some pages to you. Oh, no question. Brenda Hampton. Go to her page right now, her Facebook page. Tell her you got finished speaking to William Fredrick Cooper, and tell her, listen, that's a chick doing some great things. Also, I'm gonna, like I said, I'll just give you some names with the hope that people might make themselves available.
You have my contact information, please.
Oh, no question, no question. This is how the universe works. This is how we do. We're supposed to help one another, and that's one of the things we've gotten away from. It ain't about me. This is about us collectively.
Oh, absolutely. I definitely agree with that. We all need each other to catapult to the next.
You're damn right we do. But you try to tell people that, and they get mired in ignorance because they think it's all about them.
Well, those are the ones that we cut the rope on.
Girl, we're all put on this earth to serve.
Yeah.
Mark 10:43.
Yeah.
We're all, but Jesus says, the apostles are arguing. Jesus is saying, they come up to Jesus saying, yo, Jesus, who's the greatest? And he's like, fools, y'all arguing about who the greatest, but you know who the greatest is? The person who serves with a humble heart. Recognize. That's what Jesus said. And that's what you're doing for us in the literary culture. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
you to this group of people who have been with me on this journey for the last 2 years. I could not do it without you guys. You're just regular.
Mama Tony, Tam, Patricia, Janice.
Thank you.
Listen, guys, thank you so much for being a part of this interview. And hopefully,
we'll hear from you.
Matter of fact, guys, if you can, do me a big favor. Mama Tony, Tam, Janice, and them. Go to William Fredrick Cooper's Facebook page and send me your email address. I want to send you guys a PDF of Unbreakable.
Oh, it's so good. Oh, please do.
Okay, I'll send you.
I read it in a day and a half. It is.
Yeah, that jam, that Unbreakable jam was banging, right?
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So anyway, we must go. It is 9:11, and this has been Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation. Mr. William Fredrick Cooper, an author extraordinaire. Please reach out to him and go to his many pages and read his many books. They are wonderful journeys of emotion, and you will certainly enjoy them. To our audience, we wish you all the love that your heart and your hands can hold. Until next Monday on Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation.
I like that. Go ahead with your Don Cornelius yourself.
Good night.
Take care, guys. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.